Wednesday 1, Gillingham 1, match review. Frustrating because I really don't like Steve Evans. He brings out a feeling in me that I used to feel when I was 14, 15 when I used to go to match, when I used to really dislike people and really dislike other teams and other players. And I don't really feel like that much these days. I tend to watch the game and what a Wednesday doing, and that's all I'm really focused about. But when you're young and you're angry, I used to have people who I hated. That eases off. But he's one of the few people that wanker. Anyway, Steve Evans or not, we should have had enough to win the game, really, in all honesty. It weren't the team I thought we'd pick. I saw the lineup named, I saw the team sheet. I thought Patterson had retained his spot at right wing back, and I did think we might see Corbyn up front possibly at first. Personally, as I said before the game, I'd have put Sol into the team. So I think he's just somebody who likes to get off a yard and get a shot away. And does it ever really work with two big lads up front? I'm not sure it does, but anyway, so this were the team that we picked. So Wildsmith in net, back three, Palmer, Dunkley and Johnson. Midfield five, Corbyn, Delibisheru, Bannon, wing, Shadipo. And a front pairing of Canberra and Patterson. One or two things in there I'd have probably not done. I'd have probably kept Corbyn on the left. I thought he was fantastic there against Sunderland, and his ability to use both feet and actually go on the outside, I think, gave us a natural balance, especially linking with Johnson. And I thought Patterson was terrific at right wing back that game. So I'd have kept him on the right side. And up to, I've got no problem with Patterson up front. He always puts his shifts in, put himself about, and he was involved in the goal today. But as I said, does it ever really work with two big lads up top? I'm not so sure it does. But that was the team that we put out today. And on paper, it still should have enough to get a result against Gillingham. And when I say result, obviously I mean a win. So pretty positive mood before the start of the game. An impeccable minute's silence and the last post to remember the fallen. And one of the few remaining D-Day veterans was actually there. He's a Wednesday fan. Cyril Elliott, 101 years old, out there on the pitch waving scarf at fans in stand. That were great. And it sort of lifted everything out, I think, a little bit, and Wednesday started really brightly and really got at Gillingham. Shadipo were trying to get forward down the left hand side. Corbyn on the right hand side were causing him a lot of problems. I mean, he had the left back on toast, truth be told. But the delivery, it's that little thing, it's always the last third with Wednesday, isn't it? I thought we were really positive, we pushed onto him. And for the first 10-15 minutes, I thought we dominated proceedings. Wing, much maligned, getting the ball, knocking it wide. Bannon were trying to get things going. Patterson hits the post. And I've thought about this since. If that goes in, it's a completely different game. And they're the fractions, aren't they, in football? Because they'd obviously come for the point, they'd set up their stall for a point. I mean, they were time wasting as soon as they got possession of the ball. And if that goes in, 1-0, do they come out anymore? Well, if they do, I think we probably punish them again. But they don't. It hits the post, and there's a lad running in, I think it's Shadipo. It misses him by fraction. If that goes in, it's a different story. But it's positive from Wednesday. The one thing I would say that I do find frustrating, and there's probably plenty of you watching this that play at striker at various levels at games. Some of you might be ex-pros, whether you're Sunday League cloggers or whatever you are. If you're a striker and you're making runs into the box, waiting for the cross, and the wide players do 5-step overs and then come back inside, and then you're having to get back on side again, and then they go on outside, so you make another little run, and then they come back inside again, so you have to get back out again, and That must be really frustrating. We did get the ball wide well. It was a big problem I had with Kadeem Harris when he was here the other year. When people are making them runs, you are allowed to put a first time crossing. Sometimes if somebody just knocks a ball in front of you, you are just allowed to sweep your foot around it, and you don't have to hit the man. Put it into the space, and the man is making his run, he will attack it. If you're trying to hit the man and he's on the move, that's when you end up with them crosses that go behind, because they're moving. If you're trying to hit them, they're not a stationary target, they're moving. So that was quite frustrating. And of course then they scored, and as soon as they scored, well, that was that. The time wasted went into absolute overdrive, didn't it? Yeah. I wrote one down here. I was a bit sad. A throw-in down in front at South Stand. 47 seconds from the ball going out of play to actually leaving the thrower's hands. And that doesn't include it being retrieved. That's nearly a minute. Referees have got to clamp down on stuff like that. That's 20 minutes into the game, but they were doing it from the first minute before that. Not as bad as that, but as soon as they got that goal. The goal. So the situation is, it's a free kick to them in a wide area, and we defend quite a high line. Now, I've seen one or two people online, whatever, heard on radio saying that Wednesday defended the line too high. Well, I'll come back to that after, but we'll just quickly have a look at it. It's not a great line, but it's there or thereabouts. The problem is, even before the lad's taking it, you can see here at the back, and I don't know, it is the lad in the yellow boots, I think it might be Johnson. He starts dropping before it's been taken. And that is your cardinal sin if you're playing a high line. If you're playing a high line, stay high. That's why you're playing a high line, to try and catch him off. To drop back, you invite the trouble. So he's already dropping back. Now, as we can see here, the ball doesn't actually go that far. It starts dropping short. He's then got to change his run because he realises by dropping in, he's leaving his man. He then goes to try and engage his man who he's lost. Can't get there. But in going back out, he then leaves the space in behind. He's created a vacuum. Everyone else has dropped with him, which has allowed their lads to make runs in behind into that space. And that's exactly what happens. Oliver exploits the space in behind. The flick comes through. Wednesday appeal for an offside that's not coming. And, well, I think we've seen enough of that. As I said, I've seen some comments, I've heard some things on radio and whatever, it's far too high a line. That doesn't have to be a problem. If you're holding the high line, you're holding it for a reason. You're either tempting them to try and play a short one, because they know that if they arrow it right over the back, somebody might get caught offside if you hold your set, or otherwise the goalkeeper might come and get it. But if you're going to set a high line, hold it. Never set yourself a high line and then drop like that, because if you're going to drop, you may as well all drop. Do you know what I mean? You've either all got to go as it's coming, or start in a deep position and force and come out the other way. But to set high and then drop, you invite the trouble. As soon as he drops, everyone else's runners are getting off the shoulder. So, which is what happens with a goal. Leave the space. Do I blame him? Well, I do and I don't. It's an individual error, but he's a winger. Somebody who's played centre half for 15 years knows what he's doing in that situation. And even some of them, it takes bravery to stay there. It takes that bravery to say, right, there we are, this is the line we're holding, let him play it. And it takes real nerve to do it. A winger playing out of position in a back line, ball coming over, you've been conceding goals, the temptation's always there to... Do you know what I mean? So it is an error. I don't particularly blame Johnson. I think it was Johnson. But I don't particularly blame him because he's not experienced in that situation. But it's a crap goal from Wednesday's point of view. And then it gives them the licence to, well, just take the piss with time wasting basically for the rest of the game. Wednesday have a go at it, sort of willfully having a bash, but it hits them. All goals seem to hit Wednesday, and you can see the frustration creeping in as they start taking, like I said earlier, 30, 40, 50 seconds to take a throw in, a goal kick, nearly a minute. They keep plugging away, we keep trying to get it wide. A lot of times we're coming inside though, especially off the left hand side with Shadipo, and we're looking to play them little 1-2s with the strikers and play the little wall passes, and that's fine, but I think if we'd have the right place for that. We're playing up front with two big units today. I think you've got to go a bit different. If they want to do that and come inside and narrow it, I don't know why they would, because they look like they were playing quite a tight diamond to me, but if you want to come inside and do that, play different strikers. Start Sol and Berahino, players who are more used to having the ball at the feet. I'm basically saying, if you're going to play lads like Patterson and Canberra, you've got to get the ball in and around the 6-yard box out towards the penalty spot maybe, and sling stuff in there. But we're putting stuff in, but it's a bit late, it's a bit behind, it's frustrating. The great irony is, in the game, Wednesday start to run out of steam a little bit, run out of ideas maybe, and Gillingham actually had a little spell for about 5 minutes, and then ironically started time wasting again, which gave Wednesday a bit more impetus. A couple of players went down, and the Wednesday goal is a great example again of putting it in the mixer when you've got big lads in there. The ball comes over the back stick, it's really a nothing ball. Patterson makes the most of it, gets up really well, he's completely off balance, he lands on his arse, but determination, that's half a job as a footballer as well. Determination. I hate to see people who aren't trying a leg. He's on his arse, he still gives everything and manages to flick a little ball out to Bannon, who gets a shot away. It's actually a good save from their keeper, I thought, and Canberra's there to tap it in. Now, he didn't have a great game. I don't think it was his sort of game. We kept trying to find his feet with his back to goal, 20 yards from goal, 30 yards from goal. I don't really think that's his game. He's somebody who comes alive in the 6-yard box. Not a great footballer, but he keeps nicking goals, and they're all in the 6-yard box. If you've got somebody who keeps nicking goals in the 6-yard box, what would your common sense tell you to do? I know. Why don't we keep putting ball in 6-yard box? Yeah, I know. It's quite simple sometimes, isn't it? We get back in the game. Berahino comes in. I'm still not seeing it. It were worth taking that gamble, I think, because if it paid off, it paid off. Apparently, he's not a massive money and not a long deal, but I'm not seeing the payoff so far. Sol comes on at the end. Some really neat touches, because he's one of them strikers who does like getting the ball into his feet. This is where it's frustrating, isn't it? That's why I'd have probably started him if it's going to be that sort of game. Little balls around the corner, we put a bit of pressure on, but we're not going to score. Their keeper's had a decent game, to be fair to him. But again, it's them half chances. And all in all, as much as I hate to say it, it's probably a fair result all in, because Wednesday have dominated the ball, they've done quite well up to the last third, and Gillingham, even though it's shit, even though it's horrible to watch, even though it's infuriating and you think, God, Steve Evans is a fat, horrible bastard with an horrible football team playing horrible football, full of shithousery and cheating and time wasting and conning referees. That's part of the modern game, innit? So that's their game plan. We don't like it, but that's their game plan, and they've executed it really well. Our game plan was to go out and try and take the game to them, which we did quite well for the most part. Put the two things together, their game plan and our game plan. Both teams, you could say, yeah, we've done okay today. And I do think Wednesday did okay. A draw, grudgingly, yeah. Keep going back to that chance though. The fine margins. Wednesday start brightly, real positive first 10 minutes. Patterson's shot goes in. I don't think Gillingham's got a plan B. We're probably going to win that game 2-0. But that's football, innit? That's football. Not the result we wanted. Overall though, probably about right. not a great performance from Wednesday, but not a terrible performance. There were actually a lot of positives that I could take from that game, genuinely. But there's a lot of other questions to be asked away from that game. But I'm going to do them in another video, yes. Because apparently, according to my analytics, you lot can't listen for more than 12 minutes before you start drifting off and looking down your little suggestion panel outside at other stuff. Unbelievable. So, I'm trying to keep these videos shorter than 10 minutes now for your attention spans. I mean, half of you's probably drifted off and missed me critical analysis at their goal. So, what else is there? But where's Hutchinson? How come Jack Hunt weren't in the 18 at all today? What's happened to Gregory? How long's he going to be out for? A mysterious illness? Is COVID sweeping through the camp? What's happening? How long's Iofa going to be out for? There's a lot of questions. I'll do another video about that. But for me, for now, that's it. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and just have a think on that there's a reason why we can all enjoy the freedoms of our Sundays.